Welcome to the Philantrepreneur Show, hosted by Dr. Victoria Boyd, designed to offer tips, strategies, and insight to empower nonprofits and entrepreneurs with sustainable win-win solutions. The Philantrepreneur Show is sponsored by the Philantrepreneur Foundation, building capacity through education and professional services.
Well, welcome. This is Dr. Victoria Boyd, president of the Galaxy Group and editor of the Philantrepreneur Journal, and my wonderful co-host, Heidi Anderson, founder of Credit Cares and president of Electronic Commerce International. We are thrilled to bring you the Philantrepreneur Show, which airs every first and third Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. What a wonderful day it is outside. It's sort of cool and a little breeze, and sun is shining, and I'm so happy to have Heidi back in the co-hosting. She's been, we did reruns in July, and then she was tied up in our first August presentation, but we're excited, and you're back. Yay!
Yay!
And
well, I think Sharon did an excellent job, and it's kind of fun to be back. Gotta get the rust out.
Yeah, and just think about it. Our next show is our first anniversary show.
I cannot believe it's been a year.
I know, it's crazy. So, what do you think we should do to celebrate? Run a contest or something? I don't know. It's got to be special.
I think it'd be kind of fun to invite back some of our previous guests, maybe just for a little quickie and maybe do some trivia or something. I don't know. We'll figure something fun out.
Yeah. It's. I'm sitting here thinking about all the different guests that we had, and it's really exciting. And I think I have the wrong script up here. Okay, never mind.
Well, we've had so many. I mean, everybody's had really, just interesting stories, and just so many different. I've learned so much from our guests about, there's just some things you never even really think about, and just go, wow, that really is something that I can use to improve my life, and maybe to bring to other people to improve their life.
Yeah. And I always love to meet individuals that have interesting stories. And I'm a strong believer that one must first know their own passion and purpose, and that's sort of how I went through and the self-discovery process, and I believe others should go through that process of self-discovery, finding their own compass, which in turn should help in making decisions in work and business. It keeps your internal and external universe in sync. Otherwise, you always feel as if something's missing, and I know I went through that for a long time. And what it is, it's your own purpose. In my book, I called it You Values. Heidi, what are some of your You Values?
Well, the process of self-discovery is just ongoing, but in the article that you actually were nice enough to publish in your Philantrepreneur Journal, last month. Was that last month? Yeah. I talked about how something was missing in my life, and I just felt really empty at a point in my life, and I went everything for all intent and purpose looking into my life. You go, my gosh, she's got it made, and I was miserable, and so I went through that process of self-discovery and finding like my soul's purpose, which you're calling your You value. And just found that I really needed to bring my heart to my business and make it about something that I cared about. So I created Credit Cares, and so we could make donations to nonprofits from the credit card processing merchants that we have, and also about really the strong desire to bring empowerment and love to kids aging out of the foster care system that led me to create the Foundation to Foster Empowerment, of which you are a wonderful part as well. And the journey continues. Yeah, it's just all, and I just feel like it just grows every day. But sometimes, on that journey, we get a little lost, or at least I do. I can only speak for myself. And I just, after reading about our guest today, I feel like sometimes I could really use his guidance.
Yes, absolutely. And, as usual, we have a very interesting guest joining us. I don't know about you, but normally what comes to mind, I know, I'm going to be very stereotypical here. Shame on me. When I envision someone with degrees in mechanical engineering, computer science, marketing, there's this corporate vision, hardline, very systematic person. But you know, when I first met and encountered Michael, I never would have associated him with that area at all. There was just this aura or just a connection that I felt, and we only really stood there and talked maybe 20 or 30 minutes. But he understood what I was talking about, and I understood what he was talking about. You know, but as we know, life is an exciting journey that leads us down exciting paths, and obviously he has taken a couple paths. And that path for me led me to our guest today, founder of a spiritual center in Las Vegas with a goal to create a community of intentional living in Berkeley. He is a holistic social entrepreneur who supports socially conscious individuals and businesses in the discovery process of cultivating their desires. Through the manifestation process, he leads them into the realization of their passion and gifts, which can develop into products and services. Centered in spiritual and business principles and practices, he is a life and business coach supporting business development and marketing. It is such an honor to have ahn-hel, Michael Rojas, join us today. You have a fascinating story, an experience that leads you to the work and life you have today. Welcome to the show. Please share some of your backstory and how it evolved. Hello, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, peace and blessings peace and blessings to you and to your audience that's listening in. We send love and light out to each and one of those beings who are tapping into this awareness in this moment.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Please share some of your you have a very interesting backstory, and could you just give us some of your background and bio?
Absolutely, and I loved listening to the two of you, right, because there's no coincidence that we connected at some point in time because of how each of us are on our life journey. And so we are each on our life journey, and yet there ends up being these connection points with other individuals along the path. And so for me, like you were sharing, Victoria, mine started off in a very linear fashion, and so I first focused on mechanical engineering. That was my first understudy, and then from there I migrated into computer science and then into marketing. And so then my professional career at that point in time was mirroring that growth, so that professional growth. And so while that on the surface looked all fine and beautiful, and I was living a very nice life on paper and from the external position, but as you were saying, Heidi, there was a big void, right? And so, so while I was literally flying every week, often globally, and working with a bunch of amazing people in those kind of capacities, there was still something within me that was not being fulfilled. And so what was not being fulfilled within me is that I was not honoring who I am. And so,
absolutely.
And so how that came to surface, and there's a phrase I always use, that you're either pushed by pain or pulled by vision. And so at that point in time, I was absolutely being pushed by pain, right? It was just getting to the point where I was just having really a lot of internal discomfort, so physical discomfort, emotional discomfort, because I wasn't honoring who I am. I was wearing this mask and this identity that had been programmed into me from my family, from society, and so that's what I had established myself as at that point in time. But yet inside I knew that there was something very different that was being summoned to come forth. And so I found myself at a point where life was just, it's really interesting because we have to be shaken to the root in order to clear that path for new growth. And so for me, what that looked like was going through a divorce, going through a bankruptcy, going through a death, and leaving that career. And so,
which really had some transition.
Right. So that was all shaking loose, all of that. And fortunately, that life had really established me to really be in a position to where I could step away from that and be self-sustaining. And so what I did then is I just took a couple years and I just studied full-time. And the studies were then about sacred studies and back into modalities. And these were modalities that I was aware of as a teen and that I had practiced that as a teen, such as Zen meditation. But then once I started unraveling the layers, because it is like an onion, right, and so a layer just comes off at a time, because these layers are what become compounded upon us through life. And so I just started peeling off the layers at a time to then remember what I was accessing when I was a child of 3 years of age. And so being that open portal, that light beacon, if you will, and being able to reestablish that connection with that inner child and to foster that inner growth and to then allow that to flourish through, while then also addressing everything that I had not addressed because I was not raised in a environment to where it was conducive to support me with my internal gifts. And we all have gifts. Each and every one of us has gifts. So every listener listening right now, they have their gifts, and chances are they're either owning them, they're not owning them, or they have some inkling that something's going on, and that's what creates that unrest. Right? And so we all go through this. It happens to each of us in this lifetime. And so that's how it came to be for me. And so then what happened is I said, okay, I'm going in, full on and full commitment. And I just dove back into my practices, which then reconnected me with my practices of shamanism and Buddhism and Tantra and other sacred studies. Specifically back into the mystery school. Yeah.
Fascinating. Love that. Like going from mechanical engineer to such a beautifully spiritual life is just awesome story. And it's interesting because a lot of things like that I've studied, like Kabbalah and science of mind and stuff like that, show that there is a real, there's so much of a blending of science and spirituality and how everything, can be proven on both sides in a really interesting way. So I'm sure the engineering mind that you have, the science mind, probably, it all worked together because you did have that side of your mind.
Right, and so it does. It allows for a real nice blending, and it allows for a nice confirmation. Right? Because part of this, our journey as well, is, is this really true or not true? What's reality, and what's reality with a capital R? Right? And so we then start to understand, that there are these laws, and so there are these physical laws, there's these cosmic laws, and it's us being able to live in accordance with them while being in this fluid dance of life. And so, I'm able to apply that logical, analytical aspect of myself while tapping into the unseen, being in union with the divine.
Mm-hmm. So, who are the individuals that usually seek out your services? I mean, what's your, ideal, or your, typical client? It's kind of interesting in that I end up working with a lot of people who come from a very analytical background as well, and so we laugh about it because I can relate to them, right? So we can be, joking about the work that we're doing and relating it back to their analytical mind, which they're learning how to let go of into this more innate inner wisdom and inner guidance, right? Because that analytical mind is looking for things to be black and white. If we know in life that things are not black and white, that what we see with the visible eye is less than 10% of what is truly reality. And so I'm able to support those people in letting go of those strong beliefs, if you will, into moving into a more subtle setting where they're able to listen to their, what I refer to as the internal GPS, right? So we're listening into our intuition, we're listening to our wisdom. So
So a lot of my clientele ends up being folks like that. Also, individuals that that are just having some real internal unrest, that they know that there's something not right, right? And what I mean by not right is that they're feeling something within them that is out of alignment. And so that out of alignment can then present itself in many ways. It can present itself in an addiction, in a behavior, in depression. And so they're simply looking to be seen and heard primarily, right? And so, I can stand before them and see them and see the beauty that is them and support them until they can see the beauty within themselves.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, because there's so many people asking themselves what's next, and it could be related to their job, their internal compass, as I call it, not being in alignment with their you values. These are things that I've been focusing on, especially as we go through, or I went through my journey of retiring and then deciding, well, no, there's still something next that has to happen. So just finding out and going internal again. I love, that you said you have to honor who you are and what you stand for. That's such a great statement. And so now you've gotten individuals to accept and appreciate who they are. So how do you support a person with business needs and those personal needs?
Right. So it's really interesting because when I'm working with nonprofits or entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs, what happens is that unless we have done the inner work, we don't know how to get out of our own way. And so where you see a business that is not flourishing, it's because the individual has something going on within their belief system or the behaviors that are prohibiting the business from flourishing. Right, there is some fear, some doubt, some kind of belief like that's transpiring, or they just need that guidance from a business perspective, right, from the black and white analytical perspective. But generally, what happens is that even when I'm working at that analytical linear level, there's always something that we look at on the personal side, and so it really is that there's no separation between the body, mind, and spirit. And so, though I might work with someone, that we're working on a business plan or something, when we get to a certain point in that business plan, I can feel that there's some unease, right? So there's some energy that's out of alignment. And so then we can take a moment and take a deep breath, and everything starts with breath. And so we can take our breath, and we can move in, and we can center, and we can then figure out what it is that is out of alignment. What is it that is causing you to have that self-doubt? What is causing you to think that it has to be this way? And so, we can then resolve whatever internal issue there is so that is then resolved so that no longer becomes a block from the business flourishing.
Absolutely.
Oh, that sounds really just a beautiful holistic approach. Just like I said, it's all connected and it all shows up in our lives and so many times we're just not really even conscious of it. We just see things aren't the way we want them to be, but we have no idea that we're creating it ourselves.
Right.
So
because we're operating from the subconscious level. We're operating from our learned behavior. Right, so we're operating from what I refer to as these, either now, with computers, we're operating from this disk of memory. In the old days, we would call it the file card, the file cabinets with the cards. So we're operating at that level, right? And so until we learn to unplug from that, that's how we relate to everything. It goes back to that statement that you can't solve a problem with the same mindset that the problem was created. Right? And so we really, it's saying, okay, I'm hitting that stop button, interrupting my own story so that I can then make myself available for this new insight, these aha moments, which is also then part of how we propel ourselves and we grow as an individual into a higher awakened state.
Oh, I love this conversation. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we look forward to having more from Ángel Rojas right after this commercial break.
Hey, are you a small business owner like me who wants to make a charitable contribution and needs easy access to charitable giving sources that you can automate for your business for free? Then I invite you to visit www.credit-cares.com. They have charitable giving options using their innovative merchant platform that helps nonprofits raise money and helps merchants make contributions at no additional cost to them using the products and services of Electronic Commerce International. Our giving options are easy to set up for small business. So if you have a business entity, we can donate in your business name. Go to www.credit-cares.com and see how you can make a difference every day by doing what you already do. Go to www.credit-cares.com and fill out the form or call 855-782-2737 for more information on how your business can be a difference maker in your community.
Each week we like to bring a Philantrepreneur show tip, and so it's that time right now. The foundation of our show is to offer tips, strategies, and insight to entrepreneurs and nonprofits. One topic that is vital and seems to keep coming up is leadership. There are many areas, so over the next couple shows, the tips will be devoted to leadership. And January issue of the Journal will focus on leadership and building a culture of leadership, or what Center Stage Leadership has coined as intentional leadership. So our first two tips is number one, and I think this is very apropos to our conversation today. Stop being the go-to person. Build in regular breaks from work. It can be a particular challenge for small businesses or nonprofit leaders who are trying to do it all. The entrepreneurial mindset is often that of the go-to person. You've gotten where you are because you get stuff done. You're the closer. It's all too easy to get stuck into that mindset and lose your perspective. Develop a leadership culture and build leaders around you. But then you say, I'm the only one out here. That needs to stop. So tip number two is go to the next level. An important question that all leaders need to ask themselves on a regular basis is, what is it that only I can do? That question is not about being indispensable. Rather, it's about thoughtfully considering the highest and best uses of your time and attention. Where is the value really added? Assess the things that only you can do and find help for the rest. Build your team.
The Philantrepreneur is dedicated to your success. Visit thephilantrepreneur.com to find and explore a wide range of services and resources. Register and receive benefits such as training, early bird discounts, and the Philantrepreneur Journal, a nationally distributed bi-monthly digital publication serving everything Philantrepreneur, filled with tips, strategies, and resources to support your goals. Need more marketing exposure and have community impact? The Philantrepreneur is proud to offer Ads for a Cause, where 10% of your marketing purchase goes directly to charity. Contact us today to place your ad. Increase your reach in a professional digital publication or radio spot. It's a great marketing tool to send, post, or share in a variety of formats. Deadlines are on a rolling basis, so don't miss being included in the next publication. Visit thephilantrepreneur.com and click the Journal Marketing Ads tab today. Mention this show and get a 10% discount. www.thephilantrepreneur.com.
Well, welcome back as we continue our conversation with our delightful guest, Ángel Michael Rojas, a holistic social entrepreneur. I love that title. This kind of came up a little bit earlier about people feeling not seen or heard. How do you support those people, and how can we better support those people?
So what happens is that we have been, it's part of our programming to think that each of us are not worthy. right? And that we're not loved, and those are some very fundamental beliefs that we have been programmed with, that have been instilled within us. And so part of this is, what I refer to as active listening. When we're speaking to people and engaging in conversations, we are often so busy waiting for our opportunity to speak that we're really not listening to what a person has to say. So one of the things is just allowing ourselves just to be present, just to be free of thoughts, and to be present with that individual and listen to them. When we're listening to that person, we're supporting them, we're holding them, we're seeing who they truly are. We're seeing and hearing what they're saying in words, but then we're also seeing, feeling, and hearing what is not being said. And that's where the real story is, right? And so it's then having the ability to support them and to hold them to where then that truth that is waiting to be verbalized out can come out. And so often what that looks like is then a person will have what some refer as a breakdown, but I refer to it as a breakthrough. So again, it's letting that stuff, whatever is on that level layer, just crumble away and let that birthing come through. And so it's in holding that space for a person that they can allow all of that to fall away, that they know that they are loved, that they're in a secure space and a safe space to where that which is them can truly come to the surface and blossom into the sun.
All of these strategies, I as I'm thinking about and as you're talking, I can just see how so many people could really, just use this, because they don't even recognize that they're not getting to where they want to be because of just simple internal things that they're just not accepting. It's really amazing. I love what you're saying. So because you have such a way to really make people go deep inside themselves, what types of programs are available for those seeking support?
Well, and that's a key word, right? Those seeking support, because as I have learned, you can only support someone if they're ready to be supported.
Yes.
and so that's key. And so some people might come and they'll look in the window, so to speak, or have that level of curiosity, and I just place love and light out to those beings, and let them know energetically that that the door is here and it's open and it's available for whenever they're ready. Others are a little bit further along and they're willing to dip the toe in the water, and so one of the daily offerings that I have, it's a free meditation, and it is the midday soul snack. And so it's taking 15 minutes out of your day to recenter, reset, and recharge, releasing all that has happened in the first half of your day or the last half of your day. And just letting go, right? Just letting go of those experiences and those interactions. And so that's one way that I show up to support everyone, who's ever ready to at least have that level of dialogue. And then from there I have other programs that take place either weekly or programs that take place in 5-week increments, and then for the individuals that want to work with me privately one-on-one, then I'm available for private session work. And then on the business side, I'm available to support people either at a coaching level or at a consultant level or as a strategist, helping them with their branding, with their marketing, with their product development, teaching them about joint ventures. Right, as we now are stepping into this new paradigm of being solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, so many more of us, it goes back to what you were speaking to earlier, Victoria, during the break, of thinking that you're the go-to person and having to do everything. Well, when we learn about joint ventures, we can learn how to approach other individuals who we respect and that we would like to work in collaboration with. So I support small business owners in that regard of, okay, so, what is it that you want to showcase, and who out in the world would be a good business for you to approach to show them that what you do would complement and serve their community.
Absolutely. Well, and that's a lot of that is the foundation of what we the Philantrepreneur community, Heidi and I, are promoting. A couple shows ago, we heard the term congruence of interest. And
yes,
it's what you just mentioned is totally about finding that congruence of interest where you're not duplicating, but you're supporting and enhancing the goals that each of you might have. I also love your term for those seeking support. You're a coach, I'm a coach or a trainer, and even though we get approached by many, like you said, some are just peeking in the door or the window, through the window, not even coming in, and they're not quite, they're not quite coachable yet, because even though they think or say they want support, they're not ready to make the change or take the action. And so all of the advice that we might help guide them work through, until they are really ready to accept it and be coachable, as I call it, they're still just peeking in the window. And so and a lot of people don't even realize that they have to go through that stage. And so I'm glad you brought up for those seeking and talked about dipping their toe in the water, because I also talk about that a lot. So how does working with your local group affect the global community?
So the beautiful thing is that with the use of technology, we're really able to be in dialogue with our global family. There was, when I was back in the corporate world, one of the books that I read by John Perkins as I was transitioning out was Confessions of an Economical Hitman. And it just so resonated with me because, in my own way, I was John Perkins, to where I was out in these other countries supporting, I won't name the corporations that I was supporting here, but, I knew deep down how it was not supporting those communities and those local people. So now my shift is that everything that I'm doing, it's to provide each of us our own sustainability, however that looks for each of us. And it goes back to the key word that you used, Victoria, congruency, right? So it's that we are being congruent, and that we might approach a person, because it looks interesting, but then if we find out that there is no congruency there, then we immediately just, bless them and release and move on. And so, part of this is I'm working on a couple projects right now that has some international activity going on. I can't share more about them right now because we're still in the development stage. But it's not only being able to support people here and also being able then to send funds and merchandise and those kind of things to these other locations, but it's being able to go to those other locations and to take individuals from here to those other locations to support them. And the reality is they're supporting us as well, because every time that we interact with someone, we're learning as well. So we're always the teacher and the student. And so there's a lot that's in the works. More of it will be available now in November. That's when the first international offering is being introduced. And then the next one is right after the first of the year, which will then have much more tangible results that we can see of how we're touching souls. And so we're touching souls regardless of where we are geographically, because we all are on Mother Earth, even though we have these imaginary boundaries around it known as countries.
Right. Technology really has taken, I think, all of us to the next level. And it's how to use it so it can have impact.
Right. When I was in the corporate world, because my focus in the corporate world, I was in technology. I was in the Fortune 200 level, and so I was in marketing in the technology realm, and so it was really interesting because it was all of us that were accessing information at that global level then. But now that society is accessing technology, it's beautiful to see how it's really blossomed and how it has shifted and how it has really evolved, right? And so now it really makes it easy for all of us, regardless of who you are. If you're that person, if you're that mom right now listening to this, and if you have that passion that you can simply start taking the actions, because that's what needs to happen. It's not about being busy and doing. It's about being, and then after the being process, then you start by taking action. So if you're that mom right now and you have that passion, you can start and accomplish what you truly desire with the use of technology.
Yes, absolutely. And I in working with different projects with Heidi, and as she and I have evolved over the last year and a half, just establishing the different communities that we are establishing, it's amazing how just putting it out there and saying this is what you want, or this is what you seek, it just sort of manifests itself and happens.
And you never know exactly how it's going to show up.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's part of the beauty.
Yeah.
And that's part of the beauty in what we refer to as magic, right? Is that when we simply are allowing and we're in alignment, and we put out our desires, it's not for us to know all the details. It's just for us to be open and receptive and to allow that abundance to flow in, whatever is that form of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. I think we're both sort of speechless over here.
Well, no, I'm just thinking. I know I for certain want to hear more from you and connect with you after this call, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners probably do too. So, what's the best way to actually do that after the call?
So there's a couple different ways to reach out to me. So currently, right now, one of my activities is supporting a local center here in North Las Vegas. The name of it is The Spirit Within You. And so what I'm doing from there is that I'm offering different ways to engage with me, either from one-on-one all the way to group programs. And so everything that I'm doing there, it's all in person and online. So I'm utilizing, like you, Blog Talk. I'm utilizing live stream, Google Hangout. So I'm providing a number of avenues for folks to access and have access to the information of whatever the programs are. And so I'm really blessed in that a good percent of the folks I work with are international. And I just feel so fortunate with that that there's people in Denmark and Japan and South Wales that I've been working with now for a few years, and it's just beautiful to hold that global community. And so that's one way for folks to interact with me directly and to also then participate directly in some of the current programs. And so that website is...
Oh, go ahead. That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, so that website is The Spirit Within You. And so that's spelled out, the, and spirit is spelled out, and then within you is spelled out, and then it's you as in universe.com. So that's one way to interact with me. You can look directly at my websites. One of them is Deep Breath Ah. So that's spelled out, Deep Breath, and then AHHH, because everything comes back to breath.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And that's .com.
.com. And then if anyone would like to reach out to me directly, I'm absolutely available by phone, and that number is 310-853-0303.
That's fantastic.
Wonderful.
So if you had some final takeaways that you want our listeners to really gain from our conversation today, because, wow, we've touched on some really, what I would say, thought-provoking and consciousness today. So what might be some takeaways that you would share?
To know that you're not crazy. and
love that one.
It's huge, right? Because we have so many levels of self-doubt. So you're not crazy, and you're not alone. You are always supported. Right here in this moment, right now, you are supported. And it's simply reminding yourself of that.
Those are excellent words to remember, that, you're not crazy. Oh,
well, you are, Victoria.
Oh,
but good crazy.
Okay.
You're good crazy.
Okay. I take and take my work and I want to enjoy it. I've gotten to that stage that it has to be something that brings me joy. And I keep it as simple as that. So I want to really thank our guest today, ahn-hel Michael Rojas. You had so much to share the world, and I hope people reach out to you to talk to you more, to get insight, and just to take the journey with you. Once again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi, and thank you, Victoria, and to all of those listening to this live broadcast and the recording of it. Thank each and every one of you, and sending love and light out to each and every one of you.
Thank you so much. Would you like to be a guest with a great project to share? Are you a philantrepreneur? Drop us a note at Philantrepreneur.com. That's the Philantrepreneur.com. The 2014 schedule is filling fast, so please reach out today. Visit us and send us a note. So, Heidi, this has been another great show. So how are you feeling?
Oh, amazing! I'm looking forward to following up with ahn-hel. I loved everything he had to say, and look forward to ongoing conversation with him.
That's great. I had a feeling as soon as I met him that you would really enjoy him on the show. So that's why I just knew it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yep.
So don't miss our anniversary show. I'm so excited. It's our next show Wednesday, September 3rd, 8 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to have some special treats for you. We're not going to tell you right. It's going to be a surprise, so you're going to have to tune in. But we'll be sending out some notices, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Philantrepreneur Radio Show, hosted by Dr. Victoria Boyd. Get involved. Follow us on Facebook and other social media outlets. If you wish to share comments or suggestions or appear as a guest on our show, visit www.thephilantrepreneur.com. Contact Victoria Boyd. Email her at theboyd@thephilantrepreneur.com. The Philantrepreneur Radio Show is a production of and sponsored by the Philantrepreneur Foundation, a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.